boom, boom. Okay. This is Bridges for Music. Welcome to the Bridges for Music podcast. This podcast is managed by us, the students. Would like to take this opportunity to thank our friends at Pioneer DJ for making this podcast possible. Pioneer DJ has been a committed patron of Bridges for Music from day one. For more information on how to get involved or apply for our programs, visit bridgesformusic.org.
Hi, my name is Foster, and I'm one of the co-founding members of Bridges for Music. Defected Records needs no introduction, but for those uninformed, Defected is one of the longest-running independent labels of its kind and has paved the way for house music in the UK and remained a well-respected constant in the music industry for over 20 years. They have also been a huge supporter of the Bridges Academy and have been instrumental in aiding the Academy set up its own label, BFM Records. Recently, they launched a sister label, Sondela Records. All profits from this label will be going to Bridges for Music. Sondela aims to gather key players in the music industry to support responsible, progressive, and developing countries, making a positive impact in disadvantaged communities and helping raise global awareness about local issues through music. Defected Record was on their South African tour, and we were lucky enough to have them come around and give a talk alongside its baby sister label, Sondela, to the students. Today's podcast is a recording of the talk. Please enjoy as we gain insight into Defected Records' take on the industry.
Thanks. Hello, guys. I'm Yamgela. I'm really happy to have you guys here joining us, and it's a very exciting conversation hitting off. With the first kind of obvious question, we all would like to be label owners one day and have such a successful label starting from way back and still being relevant now. My main question would be, how did Defected come about, and how do you still keep relevant as like one of the biggest house music labels?
It's a long story, to be quite honest. From a very early age, I was kind of music obsessed, collecting music. I mean, that's when you're really young, you collect pop music, the commercial records that you hear on the radio, etc. As you grow a little older, your tastes, they refine. And I found myself kind of being drawn to the disco and the soul scene that was very kind of popular in the UK in the early 80s. And I just, as a byproduct of buying music and going to a store and seeking out records that I liked, that were probably not in the mainstream, that were a little bit more obscure, I would go and make tapes for people, cassette tapes, give them to my friends. You need to know about these records. They would then copy those tapes and give them to their friends, who would then copy them. And I got this reputation locally as a kind of music tastemaker. And then I got asked to DJ at parties, friends' parties, local bars, etc. And there was no master plan. When I was your age, I never dreamed of owning a record label or traveling the world and being in situations like this. So, but what happened was I got a job in a record store selling records. So my thing about music is, if I hear a record I like anybody in life, you want to tell your friends or anyone around you, you need to hear about this record, you need to know about this artist, you need to know about this party, etc. Because music brings people together in a very, very positive way. Whatever genre of the music. I mean, I feel that house music and dance music probably brings people together more than most other genres, but maybe that's because I'm totally aligned to dance music. But it has a really amazing quality of breaking down barriers, breaking down preconceptions, breaking down opinions, and you find yourself on the dance floor, you meet people, they then sometimes become friends for life, etc. So music is really important in a lot of people's lives. So I got this job at a record store. It was a very influential store. I got to meet people at record labels. They would come in, they would give me their promos, they would ask me their opinions, I would give them feedback, I would give them to local DJs. And then after about 2 years, I got offered a job doing promotions in a major record label. I worked at the major labels for 9 years. It was an incredible experience. I used the fact that you get, they encourage you to work really hard. It's to their benefit that you work really hard. But because of that, I got to travel all over the UK, and then I'd go to things like Miami Winter Music Conference or New York and whatever. So I got to meet some of the most influential producers and DJs of that time. What happened after about 9 years was the company I worked for got acquired by another business, and there was a merger between several labels, and the culture of the company changed completely. So I decided to start my own label, because when you work for a corporation, you're not in control of your own destiny. And I felt confident enough and knowledgeable enough within the music industry to start my own label. Which was we started Defected on the 1st of January 1999, so it's nearly 24 years old. And again, it's like when you start these labels, there was 3 people. There was myself, we had a promotions person, and then we had like a receptionist. And then, I believe if you're going to be in the music industry, there's 2 ways to go. If, some people want to be super popular, they want to be in the mainstream, they want to make the biggest records, the most popular records in the world. That's a difficult game to play because it's super competitive, and sometimes the entry to those worlds are really restricted, and there's gatekeepers, etc. But music can be really personal as well. And if you keep your music and your career path within your soul and where you wish to be, you keep it real, you keep your integrity, etc. And you start from a really low level, and you have consistency, and you're humble, and you have integrity, and sometimes you can grow from very small beginnings and humble beginnings. It's a long career. I mean, this year I celebrated my 60th birthday. I never imagined that I would be still relevant in the music industry at 60 years old. And some of the biggest DJs in the world are 45, 50, approaching 60. So it's a career that has real longevity. And I think that, those people that have that longevity normally conduct themselves really well. They normally have a really strong work ethic. And how do you stay relevant as you grow older? Because it's a young people's industry, the music industry. I still go out on a regular basis. I keep my ear to the ground. I maybe don't party till 6 o'clock in the morning like I used to, when I was in my prime. But I go in, I get a sense of what's going on. I still buy music. I still follow DJs that I feel are going to give me some kind of positive feedback as to the way that the world is evolving musically. And I put my own dots together and come up to my own assumptions. And I guess if you come to your own assumptions and you get it slightly wrong, you become less relevant and you end up fading away. I just guess my instinct is still works pretty well in my favour. So it's quite a long answer to your question, yeah. So, but yeah, it's I think that I try to remain grounded. I try not to believe my own hype. There's a lot of rhetoric in the music industry and whatever. And, I have a lot of artists and records and a business to promote. And to do that sometimes, the marketability and the messaging that you put out there is to try and encourage people to engage with you and bring you into the business. And I'm not saying what we put out there is a false narrative. I'm just saying sometimes we don't get carried away with our success and to remain grounded. When you meet people, you never know who's the next superstar. So you be polite to them and whatever. Just the good practices in life that you should in the way you conduct yourself apply throughout the industry as far as I'm concerned. So, I think that obviously after all this time, I haven't pissed off enough people to think that I'm, maybe arrogant and whatever. And, I'm happy to be here speaking to, we're happy to support Bridges for Music. I'm happy to bring my crew with me, and I'm happy to be speaking to you guys. So,
Thank you so much. And just on that point, I just wanted to ask a question that maybe some of us would be interested to know. What does the word defected mean? Like, where did it come from? It's quite a prominent name and it's stuck to the actual label. Like, I can't think of anything else that's defected than the actual label.
So, it has two meanings.
Okay.
The most common kind of meaning is if something's defected, it's broken. It means it doesn't work. You're defective and whatever. So I kind of like that because it just at least makes people think about why the label would be called Defected. So, but the other meaning is, if you're a Russian spy and you defect to America, so you're leaving somewhere to go somewhere else. So I defected from the major labels to be an independent label owner. So it meant two things. One was a little bit kind of thought-evoking, but the other was the reality of my situation at the time. So it fitted. And also, when we wrote it down, it's a very rounded name. It starts with DE, it ends with ED. So it really worked from a logo perspective. So, when you put it on a T-shirt, it punches out. It looks really strong. So when we wrote it down, when we thought about it, when we put it on a label, when we put it on a T-shirt, nowadays you'd probably put it on graphics, a live event, etc. It was you could tell it was a really strong word, and that's why it's called Defected. So.
Great. I really like the word still. I'm going to hand over to my friend Kularuni. She's also an alumni. She's got a question.
Hi, my name is Kularuni. For me, I would love to know what challenges has Defected as a label run into in the industry and to remain relevant for the past 24 years?
So the challenges we've faced are basically based around market forces. So when we started, we sold vinyl, CDs, cassette, and then file sharing started, Napster started. I don't even know what Napster is, but it was the ability for people to send digital files of music to their friends and download music that you like. And there was we were not seeing any revenue from that. So our revenue literally declined massively overnight. And that was the first challenge because we had to change from being an analog physical label into a digital label. It takes time to adapt. And then then obviously downloads came into play and iTunes Music, which is hugely popular. And the great thing about digital, when you're selling physical records, you have to ship your product into a store. It has to be stocked in the store. The store sometimes is not open, past 8 o'clock at night or on a Sunday or whatever. The thing about digital music, it's available 24/7 globally. So initially it was a challenge, and then after a while it became a real positive. Then the download thing started to be challenged by streaming. And again, you have to make the transition. And initially, there's a downturn in your business. And then after a while, when the public catches up and more people are streaming, you then begin to see the benefits. So they were challenges in terms of market forces, challenges in terms of music. When EDM came along, it completely destroyed our market. And it was a real challenge because it wasn't music that I could personally relate to. It wasn't music that our community could relate to. So again, we experienced a downturn. And I think when you have those downturns in life or in business, what you have to do is recognize them and not fight it necessarily. Just pull everything in, make sure you keep your costs down, manage your business as well as you can, because music is always very cyclical and things always come back around. And you have to wait for that moment to come back around, and then you can just, re-emerge stronger from the experience and you go again. And we've experienced those downturns in the popularity of house music maybe 2 or 3 times during our 24 years. But, we're now 24 years in, we have experience, we have depth of catalogue, we have a really good reputation globally, and we have to work hard because, people's loyalty is hard to gain and easily lost. So you have to work really hard to keep people engaged and keep them coming back to and to have trust in you. So that's the new challenge. The new challenge is to keep our bar really high in a very competitive world.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kuluruni. And I'm just going to hand over to Sake.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sake, the Conqueror. Yes, I have a question. I would like to ask, how does Sondela works in terms of getting artists and why the focus is here in Africa?
Hello, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Or good morning, Anton. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back here. I was here maybe like 3 years ago, so it's great to see a few familiar faces as well. Sondela's focus obviously is on not just on Africa, but on music that is inspired from the motherland. I mean, me personally, I've had my own personal journey within dance music from Africa. And I guess it's one of those ones in your career, I guess you want to affect it quite early. But as you go along and you learn new bits about yourself and in music, sometimes opportunities come your way. And meeting Simon along my journey, an opportunity has come for me to push the passion I have as a DJ into the more label side of things, and that's basically what Sondela is about. It's just our kind of viewpoint and our kind of passions, alongside Louie Dunmore, about music that is influenced from the motherland, and that's kind of it. And really giving people a platform that they might not have been afforded to. So it doesn't just stop at the music. It's at events as well. It's our playlist that we put out. It's our DJ sets that we do in the basement when people are around. It's not just house music. It can be amapiano as well. It can be different styles of houses. As much as we do focus on like more the Afro house and Afro tech, there are deep house cats that do come through, and we're giving everyone a platform to kind of be exposed to our market in the UK and also Defected's market across the world that are maybe not necessarily familiar with some of the artists and styles of music. So that's basically what Sondela is about. Obviously, we can expand on it more, but in a kind of high level, it's creating that exposure for people that look like me, I guess.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kakamba, but you can call me Q. I just have a question in terms of the relationship or the partnership between Defected, Sondela, and Bridges. What are the future plans of this relationship?
Hello. Sondela is we have a story with Sondela. So this is Louis, he's my son. He was in university in Newcastle, which is in the north of England. And he was DJing. He was hustling to make money while he was at university. And he was playing in some pretty terrible venues, playing some pretty terrible music just to get by, And we all have to pay our dues in life. Not everything comes in a way that you want to feel comfortable in. Sometimes you have to work your way to that point. Anyway, in amongst these terrible records he was playing, occasionally he would play an Afro house record and he would get a great reaction. And he phoned me up and he would tell me that he wanted to do an Afro house party in Newcastle, which is in the north, and I said, "Are you sure this is going to be a challenge?" He was very positive about it. He did the party and he lost an incredible amount of money because it was his first experience of promoting an event. My thing in life is that you learn from things that are more difficult more than sometimes the things that are easy. So he took away from that experience a lot of positives, even though the fact that the party was not successful. But I said to him, look, if you're passionate about this scene and this music, you should start a record label, because I could definitely identify with the rising popularity of African music around the world. You know, the internet has been a great thing, and it's exported what you guys do here in a very positive way globally. But you know, he can speak for himself, by the way. But you know, he's super young and he's new to the game and whatever. And I'd known Seth for about 10 years, and so I connected the two of them and said that, you know, you guys, maybe you could work together. Seth has the experience, and Louie has my support, and he's very passionate, etc. And along the way, I've got to know Kitty as well. So, and these three people are really great ambassadors for what you guys are doing here musically in Europe and in the UK. And we started Sondela during the lockdown. Which has two kind of like ways of looking at it. Obviously, there's no clubs open, and it's very difficult to promote music when there's no clubs open. But obviously, everyone's at home, and you can maybe get their attention. But you know, it's been going about 18 months now, and it's going very. You know, I'm really happy with the progress. I think the guys are really happy with the progress. Slightly before the pandemic. Valentino is someone I've known in Ibiza for maybe about 10 years, and we started speaking, etc. And I just said to him, like, you know, it would be really good if we could get involved in the academy in some way. How could we do that? He suggested that it would be really helpful if we could sponsor some of the students, etc. And it just seemed like the right thing to do and a great idea. So. It was at a similar time to the guys launching the label. You know, as someone from the UK, I didn't necessarily feel comfortable about culturally taking African music and promoting it out of the UK. So it was my way of maybe giving a good exchange in that respect. So yeah, so and that's it. I mean, music that is created here. You know, Afro House residencies in Ibiza, like 3 or 4 of them, that didn't exist before the pandemic. There's been a real increase in awareness and appreciation. The DJs that are coming out of Africa are getting really well recognized, and they're touring all over the world. And that's an amazingly positive thing. So yeah, I mean, can I bring you in or? Hey, there you go.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Louie. It's amazing to be here. So yes, Asai briefly talked through the story of Sondela, and but just to rewind a little bit, like I obviously have come from a house background, listening to growing up in and amongst Defected. So that was mainly it. But so like I'd be at places. I'd be lucky to go to places like Defected Croatia, for example, and listen to loads of amazing music, which is in Croatia that I first met Seth actually as well. But my entry points into Afro House were kind of like, it was Osun Lade and like the earlier bits that Rampa and Anmi were releasing, and even some like Dennis Ferrer tracks enabled me to start to note it, to get into the genre a little bit. And then it was when I went to uni that I had a lot of time outside my studies as well, and I just started digging for music, and I started to discover artists like Lemon and Herb and Kususa and Kid Funk and Dawson, for example. So it's at that point that I started collecting Afro, just as I'd started to pick up DJing as well. So yeah, that's how I got into the genre and discovered it. And at the time, so in my DJ career, it got to the point where like, I wanted to put on my own party. And there was a lot of house and disco events going on, so the market was saturated. And I was like, I'll try something a bit different. And yeah, so that was how the Afro House event came about. Seth came and played the event with me in Newcastle, and yeah, it all happened pretty naturally and organically. And then so we've had one party, and then lockdown happened, which was when we kind of got together and had the idea to do the label. So, but for everything to be able to be have advice from Sai and him guide us through the process of launching the label to even where we are now has been amazing and massively helpful. So yeah, we're in a really good place with where it's at the moment, we feel, and just excited for bits to come.
And just to add on to a part of your question about the connection between Defected and Sondela, Simon will probably expand on it a little bit later, but Defected also have different labels, which kind of stretches the kind of musical palette that's available. So it's not just Sondela, it's like the Remedy project, which deals with more like kind of soul, neo soul type music, and also classic, which is, you know, a little bit more experimental in the dance side of things, D for dance. So there's lots of little labels, and Sondela is a part of that. And where we connect with Defected is the support network, and also the assets and the available staff that will be able to let us, me and Louie, really focus on the music side, where we have the assistance of people that can build our assets, whether it be videos or it could be digital assets, so we can and someone that helps with our social media and that, and also having a basement. So that's the kind of relationship that we have with Defected, which is quite a powerful one, and then also enables us to be here as well, you know, to be able to speak to you and hopefully inspire you and encourage you to be able to do your own thing or even connect with us in the future. So that's like the main kind of tie with Defected, and also with Defected events as well. I mean, I started going to Defected Croatia in 2017, and it was just myself. And then by now, we've got a whole stage program in almost 14 hours of people from that are influenced by, you know, African dance music. So that's where our kind of ties are together as well. We did Defected Malta. I was able to, you know, invite Kususa. And then with the connections in Defected as well, we've been able to build a relationship in Dubai, where we've been flying out actually a number of artists from South Africa, like Tandy Dry, Carrying the Soul. We're going to be taking Taxin out there in January. So we've got a position to kind of keep on building our relationship between with Defected, but also use that relationship to also, you know, be able to focus on other bits of work to really push our label to the next level and artistry. So thank you.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me? I'm Xoli Soul. I have a question for Kitty. You didn't want to talk, you passed the mic.
Hello.
Hi. What is your relationship with Sondela? 2-in-1 question. And what is the future for female DJs?
Oh, okay. Good question. So my relationship with Sondela, I am the resident DJ of Sondela, extended family member. I have a relationship with Seth that spans over 15 years almost, maybe. And we've started our relationship from the university market, where I actually started my DJ career. So going into London, I went to university in Nottingham, Seth went to university in Leicester, so we were outside of London, and Seth returned back to London doing parties, Till 2 parties, which was a big house space for the London underground scene. Most importantly, the London Black community in house music. So whilst I was in university, I returned back to London, and Seth invited me to play there, which was where I could say I got my first big break in London. So then, yeah, as years went on, myself and Seth got a lot closer in terms of our common passion for music that derives from Africa. But also who we are as people, as African people, in the UK. And over the years, I also continued DJing in different spaces in and around London, but also developed further relationships with the likes of Johnny Miller and Dean Malice at the time, where I went on to do my own parties with them called Motherland in London. Moving forward, Johnny and Dee decided to pass that off to me, and I asked for Seth to get involved in that. And that was our baby that we were kind of uplifting together. But understanding that Seth also had his part to play in his early days of Defected, I saw that this is quite a strong standpoint for African music in the UK, where we are doing our own niche parties at smaller capacity, to which our community understand us as the figureheads of our music in London, but also Defected is globally known for house music, and Seth already has his foot in the door, so therefore there's a pathway for that music to transcend globally as well, but also ourselves as DJs at the time. Moving forwards, through my relationship with Seth is how I came to meet Simon. If I'm being totally honest with you, to be sitting on the same sofa as Simon where I can actually touch his shoulder is a dream come true, because I very much know what Defected meant for me at my entry point of house music. There was never a song that I would fall in love with and then not see the D sign. It was always a Defected track. So to know that I've actually now in a space where I've developed a relationship with Defected, the label, but also a label that makes sense to me, which is Sondela, I haven't lost my culture, I haven't lost my passion, and I haven't lost my dream, in all honesty. And this is why Sondela made sense for me to get involved in, but also I'm honoured for the guys to even want me to be a part of that as well. So in terms of the relationship that I have with them, yes, I am a resident DJ, but I also, through my relationship with Seth and Louie, I like to somewhat give some feedback in terms of the songs that there may be A&R in. I actually write for DJ Mag as well, and so I try to see other ways I can contribute to what the label was doing outside of it just being club bangers, or outside of it just being a label that is just spoken about today, forgotten tomorrow. How do we have some longevity where years on we can think of Sondela in the same way that we think of Defected? So that's to answer the first part of the question. The second part, what's the future of female DJs? The future of female DJs for me is for female DJs to not be called female DJs. They are DJs. That's just what it is. I've always deemed myself as being quite somewhat successful to my own regard, because I never went into the industry saying I am a female. What you see is what you get. If I'm going to call myself a female DJ, I might as well call myself a black, gay, female DJ. I don't need labels to define who I am. At the end of the day, it's the music that is the purpose of me being there. So I think the future is normalizing their space, the roles that they have to play. But I also feel the future is for female DJs to not even just be DJs. They can be label owners, they can be event heads, they can be distributors, they can be whatever they want to be. And I very much like the space that female DJs are in. We still got a long way to go in terms of the understanding behind the scenes as to why these women deserve a space alongside the men, and not just to be numbers as well. I don't think talent should ever go down to numbers, and we are sadly in a time of everything is a number. How many numbers have you got on TikTok or Instagram? How many streams have you got? All of this other stuff. Doesn't matter. Your talent should speak for itself, and I don't feel like people should be approaching events or should be approaching music just as let's get the female DJ so that we don't get cancelled online. I'm tired of hearing it, in all honesty. So it would be nice to just see us all on the same level playing field. Sorry, really long answer.
A good one.
I know it's not my question, but I just wanted to comment on the female DJ aspect of it. I think that there has been progress around the world in recognition of female DJ talent, and I think that people need role models in life. And I think if you looked at 5 years ago, there was very few role models that females could look at from a DJ profession and go, that's who I can relate to. That's who I want to be. That's my inspiration. You know, that's my goal. And I think now there are multiple female DJs that are very prominent on the global DJ circuit and whatever. So younger girls that are coming through and maybe viewing music and DJing as a career can relate to those people. And there is definitely still progress to be made. But I think maybe females feel more comfortable entering into a more very male dominated arena, and that applies to sport as well and other things in life as well. But it's I think, you know, walls are being broken down and progress is being made, and I think it's about people feeling comfortable entering into that space. Once they feel more comfortable, I mean, you know, I think actually sometimes male DJs have a lot of ego about them and want to look cool to their friends and whatever, and a lot of girls just want to rock the dance floor in a really good way. And their tune selection, for me, is far more creative than a lot of guys that are playing for their 5 mates that they brought with them to the thing instead of the 2,000 people in front of them. So, I mean, Sam Divine has been our resident radio DJ for almost 10 years now. And she's a great DJ, and we've supported her from way back then. This is not us being, there's a movement towards supporting female DJs. We've supported them from way back when. And I do think there is progress, but there's work to do.
If you want to listen to these conversations live and have access to this incredible community, you can join us at our physical campus, the Bridges Academy in Langa, South Africa. A revolutionary learning space where you will find courses on music, entrepreneurship, film, DJing, and much more. For more information on how to apply, visit bridgesacademy.org.
I just wanted to ask Louie and Seth about the song, not the song choice, the name choice of Sondela. It's quite interesting now that I've heard a little bit of a background around Defected. I think I was speaking about this with a few of my friends, and we were like, Sondela means come closer, like get close into it. And now you've explained that Defected is, and I knew Defected as this sort of go somewhere and start something new or something that people don't really like. And there's like that like difference between the two names. Were you guys aware of that? And also, what inspired the name Sondela for the label?
So if I'm actually when I was at university and it came to creating the party, and I realised that I wanted to put on an Afro House event, I was speaking to Sai about it, and he was like, okay, right, you've got to come up with a brand name, and like, it's got to be representative of what the party is and feels. So it had to be a word that relates to the music identity of the party, for sure. So obviously, being English, I didn't know or speak any African words, but so at the time, I was just sat with 2 of my mates, and we were scrolling through all of my tracks that I was playing at the time and tracks that I love, and I was just going through them, and one of my favorite tracks at the time was actually Sondela by David Mayer and Floyd Levine. And so I was like, Sondela, that'd be a wicked name. So I looked up what it meant, and it was Zulu, and it meant come closer. So for ages, I was just sat like scrolling through the Zulu dictionary to try and see if I could come up with something else or some other options. And there was, in my opinion, there was nothing that I found that was that suited the label better than, or the event at the time, than Sondela. So that was how it came about.
Weren't you worried about people not like having a clue about, we're going to this party called Sondela?
So if I'm honest, I was at uni in the north of England in Newcastle, and promoting your first event is tough, and the majority of the time it's just going to be your friends that come down. And so I knew that I was going to have a crew of people that were going to come and support me regardless. But actually saying that, like, no one, I'd say probably 98% of the people that came to the party didn't know of Afro House at the time. So they came and didn't almost even know what to expect. But thankfully it was, I did it, the capacity of the venue was about 250. I got like 130 people through the door. It was a really good vibe all night, and everyone, everyone stayed pretty much till the end and had a great time. And then there were even people saying to me that they listen to almost like, they go out and they listen to the pop charts in England, and that's their music, but they haven't stayed out as long in a club. They've just really enjoyed the music. And so for me, that was something that really motivated me to try and push forward with it. Because I'm like, there's so much amazing music coming from over here that people in Europe and the UK just don't know about. So yeah, that's one of my aims, is to try and spread the word a little bit more about Afro House, and well, actually we say African influenced dance music, so not specifically Afro House, but everything from the deeper sound, the more soulful sound, to your Afro tech, basically.
Sorry, as I said, I'm just at this stage of my life where maybe DJing and running a record label is not necessarily my future. So my role in life now is to give people advice and give people guidance, and hopefully give them the benefit of my experiences. So when Louie mentioned the fact Sondela was a name he was thinking of, I asked him what it meant, because I obviously had no clue. He told me it meant come here, and that for me, I just said, that's it. Because it's welcoming. It's just like, come here, listen to me, be with me, dance with me, party with me, and whatever. Very, very positive message. And dance music needs positive messages, etc. The fact that most people don't understand it gives you a chance to tell the story. You know, they're going to ask you, what does it mean? Why did you come of it? He can say it's one of my favorite records, but actually it's a very positive name and a very positive word. So, you know, over the years I've learned about the importance of label names and the marketability of brands and etc. And I'm here to give these guys the benefit of my experience and my guidance. They don't have to take it. They need to find their own paths, learn from their own mistakes or their own successes or whatever. But, you know, I have time now. I'm stopping DJing as much as I did. So I want to have time for opportunities like this, and to help the new generation of record label executives or DJs or promoters or whatever people want to. The music industry is an incredible industry to be involved with, and there are so many roads to a successful career. And I'm here for anyone that just needs a little bit of time. So obviously he's my son, he gets a lot of my time. That's it. I thought it was a great name. How do you feel about it? I'm interested. Yeah? Cool.
Yeah, I was just surprised that, like, how did you guys find this name, and do you know what it means, and is there why did you come up with the name? So kind of makes sense now that you've explained it, and that you've actually gone and you just didn't think of Sondela. You actually went and did your research on what it means to people who actually speak the language. I've got one more question, and then I'm going to open up the floor to people with questions. As tastemakers and curators and label owners, how do you guys and DJs, how do you guys draw the line with choosing which songs get dropped under either Defected or Sondela without kind of focusing on people that you necessarily know better, or like without being biased and having a fair kind of rule with the music?
It's a good question. I guess we, like Simon, probably agree. You just got to strike a balance. In my personal journey, there's been I've met a lot of DJs from South Africa, and when I started the record label, I felt that I was probably getting not the best bits of their music, in terms of they might just have ones that are just on the side and then they're putting out their best ones and stuff like that. But by developing the relationship, I've been able to, you know, get probably some of their best works, or just at least have it in front of me to, you know, probably take it forward to the label. And I think, like, even with some of the established artists, I still think there is still some more elevation to go with them. So it's maybe collaborating with other musicians, or collaborating with maybe more known artists from abroad, to kind of create maybe a different types of musical combinations, which maybe they felt is weren't possible at the time, or may take a long time to happen. So there's that part, and then also there is also real underground artists in which we've put out, like DJ Quinton and Fanzo, who are not necessarily known, but we've been able to give them a platform for their music. So at Sondela, we do try to create a balance, but we are really trying to progress in terms of even working with established artists and taking them up to one level, because that will probably shine the light even more, we feel, on the whole umbrella of Afro electronic music. So yeah, it's just about striking a balance, and we're learning. We're new as a label, so that's the exciting part as well of it, learning how to strike the balance and learning who we do it with as well.
I can answer a little bit on a broader level. I'm a record collector, so I have a room in my house which is full of vinyl, and I collect labels. So the labels that I love. So if it's soul and disco, my Philadelphia collection is all racked. All my Philly records are together. All my South Soul records are together. All my Strictly Rhythm records are together. All my Talking Loud records. If I was to collect jazz, all my Blue Note records would be together. If I was to collect reggae, all my Trojan records would be together. Labels have sounds and artists that are very associated, the great labels, I believe. And there's a difference between, I mean, most of those labels that I've mentioned are probably record companies rather than just record labels. Everyone can start their own record label in these times, and whatever. You can make your record, you can do some artwork, you can upload it to SoundCloud or to any of the platforms or whatever, and you can own a record label. And I think that's an extremely positive thing for people to have their independence, and I absolutely encourage that. But once you've been going for a period of time, you have a roster of DJ producers that you're aligned to. And they will probably form the core of your release schedule. You know, if Dennis Ferrer's making records and he makes an album, you're putting 4 or 5 singles out. If Camel Fat are doing the same, or you know, so that's your core. And then what you're looking for is records and new producers that are going to come through, and challenge the established hierarchy, and that's always really, really difficult. So obviously, everyone gets really busy in life, so you go to the easy options, the passive leaf positions, the people you trust, people that know that you're going to deliver. But then if you're really like serious about the future, you know that at some point those people are going to go off and do their own thing, create their own labels, not want to release you anymore, because a lot of big artists now value their independence, or they're just going to get, you know, they're just not going to be relevant after a period of time, because some people don't have that kind of longevity in that journey. So you've always got to be looking for new talent. And we're not always right. You know, sometimes we get sent music and we don't listen to it properly, depending on your mood or your circumstances. Or, you know, we look at the numbers like everybody else does, and we look at the person. Sometimes it doesn't connect for us. And what I'd say to those people is just go out there, prove me wrong. You know, just, you know, come back and go, see, you should have fucking listened. And, you know, I'm happy to be proved wrong. And, you know, I've walked away from some pretty big records in the past, and those people are very quick to remind me that I did so. Shapeshifters, Lola's theme. which we now own, which is a very was a #1 record in the UK. Spiller, Groove Jet, which again we now own. So the reason we now own them is because when they did the deals with their labels, they did them for a term. They did them for 20 years. And I value my long-term relationships with people. I'm happy to admit that I'm wrong. So even though we never signed the records, I maintained my relationship with the producers. And then when those records became available again, I was just waiting. Okay, I was wrong. Can we do the deal now? I'm sorry. And there were probably other records as well. But that's music, you know. It's just like depending on your mood, depending on your circumstances. Sometimes we can have a full schedule and we go, I'm sorry, I can't deal with this record right now because I have my obligations and my responsibilities to the artists that I've already committed to. But the great thing about music, everyone has the opportunity to be a champion. Yeah, some unknown guy from the underground, you know, it's just like whether it be Martin Garrix as a 15-year-old kid, just does a record and it just explodes. And out of nowhere, he becomes a global superstar. And I think that's an amazing thing for dance music to be able to demonstrate that. You're one record away from having the most amazing career and the most amazing lifetime opportunities. So don't never give up, you know. And sometimes it's the records that you least think are going to do well that capture, you know, the imagination. And that, you know, that even happens with us sometimes. Sometimes we put records and we sign records that we think are going to be enormous and we end up being disappointed. Sometimes we sign records because I think we operate best when we're being true to ourselves, when we sign a record because we think it's culturally relevant rather than we think we're going to make a lot of money from it. And when we sign the records that are culturally relevant, they're the records that have longevity. They're the records that really connect with people. And the records that are really commercial actually are the records that we get most shit for on social media because people think you're selling out, people think you're doing it for the money. And if that's their agenda and that's what they want to come to you about and whatever, you can't change their perception. You just have to say, look, there's balance in everything that we do. I'm happy with the balance. So the balance between our established artists and the people that we're trying to champion and bring through and introduce as new people, I think our balance is probably as good as most people's. But it's difficult because Spotify apparently upload 50,000 tracks a day onto their site. That's what? My maths are terrible, but that's 350,000 tracks a week. That's a lot of music to elevate yourself above, but you still need to just never give up. Just never give up. So.
Since you said that, right, I just would find out how do you get buying that one track? Let me use my question. Sorry, can you guys hear me? Sorry, I'm Sia, by the way. Hi. Nice to see you again. I wanted to ask, regards to what you said, 50,000 songs being dropped in a day, right? Or 3,000 something per week. How do you guys then select that 1 or 10 songs that you know that this could be the one? Is it for the publicity? Is it for the relationship with the label that it goes with what we stand by for our label? Or is it for the public views and what you guys want to get back from the revenue, something like
that? I think you just have to, it's instinct. You have to trust your gut. You know, the first time you hear a record, how does it make you feel? If it makes you feel a certain way, the chances are, I think we're connected to our community. So, I think we are our community. So our community likes similar experiences, similar music, similar artists, etc. So if I hear someone, see someone, and it really resonates with me in a positive way, I'm guessing that our community may feel the same way. And that's how we drive our business. We promote music on our website, on our Instagram account, on our Twitter account, that's not signed to us, that the artists are not signed to us because we think that our audience and our community needs to know about this artist or this record. And because we promote things objectively, we get the trust of our community because they know that, yes, we're a business. We employ 50 plus people. We have to pay 50 plus people at the end of every month. They expect their salaries to be in their bank, and with that comes responsibility. That means we have to operate our business accordingly. So we have to have a degree of success, but we have to feed our souls as well. And I think, again, everything that I'm talking about here is about balance. So the answer to your question is, do we have a lot of commercial sounding records? We need to balance that out with some more underground records. Do we have more underground records? We need to balance it out with some commercial records. Are the artists obvious? Do we need to support new people coming through? So we'll look at our schedule and we'll work everything that we're doing accordingly to keep it interesting to the people in front of us.
Thank you so much, Simon. Also, it's a pleasure meeting you. I've been following you since 2006, and I'm very proud of what you've done for Sam. Very happy for that woman. She's doing well for herself.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Prince, spell it with 3 I's. So my question is a little bit broad, and it could be for anybody. So I'm literally an artist, nothing to do with DJing, but I'm interested in more. So artistry to me is more influential, right? You guys think they are influencing us. So I want to know what some of the sacrifices you guys have made within your artistry to get where you are today.
Who wants to answer? Okay. Can I? Okay.
I'll answer a little bit. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
So I think for me, my sacrifice that I did to get to where I am today is involving as many people as possible in my community to my parties, but not just inviting them as DJs, but also building a website and using that website as a portal for our followers and our community to integrate and to be able to speak with their DJ. So when I started my club nights, I built a website and I basically was recording sets and I was putting them on Apple Podcasts. But then I was actually forced to move the night to a Wednesday night, which is not a favorable day for people to go out. Maybe Thursday's a new Friday, and Friday's obviously leading into the weekend. So I had to think of a way to kind of make people want to come out on a Wednesday. And I felt that I was successful by sacrificing my time, 3 weeks, no sleep, building a website, and also putting on all the DJs that were playing at the gigs, at my gig, and also put in their gig guides and also their new mixes, or whether it be on SoundCloud or Mixcloud, or adding their social profiles. So in terms of like being very inclusive of the community of DJs that were playing, I kind of sacrificed myself in that sense of not just focusing on Seth Kombo and what Seth Kombo was doing, but also focusing on what Kitty Amor was doing, or DJ Perempe was doing, or what DJ Kismet was doing. And these are just people that are in our community. But I didn't need to do that, but I did it for a reason, to build the community. Do you know what I mean? So that was kind of my sacrifice to where I am today, which then kind of helps maybe the music that I've been promoting on BBC Radio, where I used to playlist all the artists. I could have just said, I'm just gonna play this music and I'm not gonna let you be able to, it's unshazammable. They weren't even Shazam that day, but I could just not tracklist. So I was not only playing the music, but I was letting people know who, where, why, what, all those type of things. So that's kind of, that sacrifice of time is probably why I'm here today, to go forth and put these people's music out.
To expand on that a little bit more, Seth talked about time, and like I think one thing that I've quickly realized, I've only been heavily involved in the industry in the last 18 months, but like it is a 24/7 hustle, like constantly. In the music industry, you tend to work very unsociable hours, evenings, weekends. So that's when most people would obviously usually be spending time with their friends and family. So I think that it's like you have to be selfish in a way, because you will miss out on occasions and birthdays and different bits like that. But then at the same time, it's with the aim of achieving your overall objective, and every gig contributes towards that. You could play a gig and you don't know who's going to be there listening, no matter how big or small. So I would say, like, obviously having Sai as my dad, like my mum had to, my mum was around more than Sai on weekends and everything like that. So you've got to surround yourself with people that are very supporting and understanding of what you do and what you want to achieve.
Hello. So time is probably the biggest factor. And I'm a music fanatic, and it basically overrides common sense in my brain, my fanaticism for music and whatever. I lost girlfriends because I needed to go to a gig and they didn't want to go there. I lost girlfriends because I spent all my money on records and I didn't have any money to take them out and treat them well and whatever. You know, I needed to be at a gig. I missed birthdays with my family, as Louie just mentioned. But it got me to where I needed to be. When you own a label, there's something else that kicks in. I'm all about promoting artists. We've done multiple gigs around the world. I always put myself at the bottom of the bill. I was always last on the bill. It was always about promoting my artists before it was about promoting me. Some label owners, big DJ label owners, always put themselves at the top of the bill, and their undercard are never going to be bigger than them. They're promoting themselves. They're not necessarily promoting the artist. I'm not being critical of them. That's just the way that it is. Sometimes I didn't even get to DJ at all. I would always go to the event. I would always be there supporting, etc. But the sacrifice that I made was not my personal gain, but to promote my artists. Was it the right call? There's not many house labels that are 23 years old. So I think that probably it's the correct way to conduct yourself if you're running a label. If you're running your own DJ career or your events or whatever, you've got to promote yourself hard and as positively as what you can. But life is all about sacrifices. Yeah, I mean, I've been married for 28 years. I'm proud of that. I've been married for 28 years. My wife drives me crazy, but I love her, and I know that she thinks that I drive her crazy, but she loves me as well because I forgive her for all of the things that I don't necessarily agree with or whatever, and that's the way that it is. It's the same with artists. I don't agree with everything that my artists do, but as long as I'm happy in the whole, that's the sacrifices that they have to make. And they don't agree with me when we do a lineup. Why aren't they on the lineup? Why are you releasing that person's record, etc., etc.? And you have to manage your way through that. But I think that all of that requires time and honesty. And sometimes when you're honest, you sacrifice relationships and whatever because people don't necessarily want to hear what you have to say. But all you can do is be honest because the truth always comes out in the end. So yeah, it's a very competitive and demanding, industry. So if you want to be in it, you've got to be in it.
We at the Bridges Academy would like to thank Pioneer for their involvement in this podcast. Secondly, a big thank you to you, the listener. Your support makes this podcast series worthwhile.
Just like the guys have said, time is the biggest sacrifice. You never get it back. Once it's gone, it's gone. But I think time is the greatest investment as well. I think it's a bigger investment than money, but you also do sacrifice money as well. Myself and Seth came from a community that has zero investment. Defected from a community that has zero investment is all self-funded. When I was in university putting on my own parties, I sacrificed the government's idea of student loan to put into running my own events, from flyers, from putting up the hire fee of the actual venue, paying DJs, etc. That was the sacrifice I made, knowing the investment that I make into the future of myself. a bit more deeper, I actually sacrificed my family, my sense of security. Through house music, it is a very inclusive community, but through house music, I actually came out in my sexuality. And that was at the cost of my family. I'm from a Christian household, and that wasn't accepted in my household, but I knew I've got a dream and a safety blanket of this music, and I believe that. Hence why I relate to Defected so much in terms of the inclusivity that has been the ethos of the label from the beginning. I was in the Black London community where, again, it is a space where you don't really know if I say, oh, I'm a gay woman, how is actually going to land within the community. But the minute this man accepted who I was as a person, I genuinely felt that through my music, God will place things in my life that will allow me to be who I'm meant to be. I live by the saying that to be who you want to be is freedom. And I definitely know the sacrifice that I made with my family. I just knew through music, I am living out my dreams. I'm living out who I want to be unapologetically. And it's not the forefront of what I'm doing as well. No one's interested in my sexuality. I'm not even interested in it, in all honesty. But music is the driving force for me. And it's nice to know through music, I've been allowed in spaces where it is quite controversial for me to be in, but that's not what they are accepting me on. They're accepting me on what it is I want to be, which is a DJ, producer, and just a being in music. So yeah, that was my biggest sacrifice.
Hi guys, my name is Ati. I'm a producer, A&R, and content manager at Bridges for Music. I've been observing you guys, and from afar, it seems like everything goes quite smoothly, But I would really, I would really like to know, like as a person that's like a junior A&R, actually in A&R, what's Sondela and Defected's challenges at the moment as a label?
Yeah. Yeah, we do have a few challenges. Sometimes if you are trying to, you believe in music and you've got actually a team behind you, but then maybe not too sure, they're not familiar because it's quite new. That's quite a challenge to get people on board, because when you're trying to move in business, when you're trying to move together to get to a place, everyone naturally just has to kind of be on board with the vision or understand it to an extent. So I think that's one of the challenges that we faced at Sondela, and naturally, because of the environment that we were coming into. But I think like over time, that's got a bit better. As well. So that's probably one of the challenges that we face, Louis.
So with Sondela starting off, obviously, we were very lucky to be a part of Defected and a part of that infrastructure. So we didn't have to necessarily deal with some of the challenges that maybe like a proper independent startup label would have in terms of resourcing everything that they need to put the label together and to put the releases together. But for us at the moment, we're trying to figure out how best to try and grow the label without overshooting our shot. So like we know that we can throw a good party in London at the moment and the numbers are there, but then we're looking to try and expand across England as well into some of the more northern cities like Manchester and Liverpool, for example. But so at the moment, we're just kind of biding our time. Is this the right time to throw the event? Is Afro House in Manchester? Is it in Liverpool yet? Are we going to put on the event and have 50 people show up, or are we going to have 500 people show up? So that's something that we're thinking about at the moment a lot, because if we do the event and it doesn't go well, then the people that have come haven't necessarily had a good experience and therefore will be less willing to buy your ticket for your event in the future. So that's something that we're thinking about at the moment.
Hi, I'm Monde. Not in music, but an enthusiast and a friend of a lot of the alumni here at Bridges. So, two questions. The first question is: there's always a lot of murmurs around. There's always a lot of murmurs around emerging talent breaking into the industry. So, what is each of yours best advice in terms of like how for an emerging DJ to actually create their own key and open the gate that the gatekeepers think that they've got locked? And then the second question that I wanted to ask is that Kitty touched on it. She said that she writes for different publications, she writes music. Simon, you've mentioned promoting. So just as a general sort of like rule of thumb, if you are DJing, but you're also looking for sort of like another outlet within the music space that shows that you are a DJ, but you are capable of doing something else within the space, what would you recommend that this young talent also looks into? Like something like maybe merchandising or whatever the case may be.
Okay, no problem. To answer your first question, I think it goes back to the gentleman's question down here. For me personally, I was just showing a passion for the music that I was buying and I enjoyed through mixes, really. And I know that it's changed a little bit now because you've got different outlets, but I used to post my mixes to some of my friends and I signed them. Some of my friends have still got that to this day. So giving that kind of personal touch, whether it be a specific song selection or like, signing a CD, was my kind of way of just kind of putting my passion out there to the market. So for me, if you can find an avenue to show your passion in music, and my one was mixes, then that's how you kind of would build a community and elevate yourself and get yourself a bit of a reputation. I think Simon touched on it right at the beginning. I'm not sure if you were right at the beginning when he was saying that he collected music and put it on cassette tape, and people were copying and copying and copying, and he was doing that through his passion. So I think we've kind of got a similar, path of, projecting our passion within music. So that's one tip I would give. I think there's more, but yeah, that's my tip.
So I would say alongside passion, persistence as well is also really important. It can often be hard, obviously, to get your records heard. We try our best to listen to all demos and make sure that we get back to the artists that's sending us demos, but I know that that's obviously not always the case. But persistence is key, and even if you get knocked back, to come again, make another record, because you're always constantly going to be improving. But then also persistence in building those relationships is really important, to be seen out and about as much as possible. Go to your favorite DJ's gigs, try and say hi to them at the end, shake their hand. Once they see you once, once they see you twice, then you'll start to get on their radar a little bit. Then that may open the door for them giving you their email where you can send them some music they listen to. So building personal connections and relationships within the industry is really important. And I would say the most important factor in that is being out and about and visible, supporting, buying the records, putting them in your mixes, doing DJ charts on Tracksource and Beatport. And yeah, just sticking at it, and then hopefully that door will open.
I think that if you can try and create your own ecosystem of people that really appreciate what you do, and you treat them well and you treat them consistently, things can build positively from there. Everything starts at zero. Like, everything starts at zero. Black Coffee started at 0 followers on Instagram when he first did it. I think he has 4 million followers now. He has a voice. But, we recently got recognized on YouTube for having 1 million followers on YouTube, which is an amazing number. But in 2009, we started at 0. We just kept going, consistency, consistency, consistency. If that number was 10,000 people, but 9,000 of those people cared, it would still be a meaningful number. Don't always be seduced by this big, massive number. It doesn't have to be there. It just has to be in a way that works and relates to you and your own ecosystem of followers, your own ecosystem of people that appreciate your music, the ecosystem of people that come to dance for you, whatever. they're your fans, and treat them really well. Because if you treat them well, they'll go home and tell their friends, and then next time they come, they'll bring them along with them. When we did Croatia for the first time, we had 1,500 people. We made sure they had the time of their lives. The next year they came back, it was 2,500 people. We made sure they had the time of their lives. Then they come back, they bring their friends with them, then it was 4,000 people, then it was 5,000. Now we sell out literally when we go on sale, because people don't want to miss out on the opportunity. But we have to make sure that we treat the people really well, musically, you know, that when they get there, they have a good time. If they have any grievances, it doesn't always run smoothly. It's how you react when things don't run well. I mean, I travel a lot. Sometimes my flights get cancelled, they're delayed. You want to know why it's delayed, when you're going to get there and whatever. And if the airline doesn't respond to you, you get pissed off. If the airline responds to you, go, okay, life isn't about a smooth runway all of the time and whatever. I understand. It's just like when things are, you're defined by how you react when things go badly. You can when things go well, everybody's happy. But when things are not there, you need to be there and explain yourself why and give people the benefit of your time. They're not easy conversations, but you learn really, actually, you probably learn more from those experiences. So yeah, in terms of breaking through as an artist, tenacity, dedication, focus, passion. The reason that these three guys are sitting with me today is because I absolutely am sold on the passion that they believe in, the music that they love. And because I believe in their passion, I know other people will see that passion and believe in it. And, you know, if you have belief in what you do, shout about it really loud. And hopefully people will go with you.
No one answered the second part of that question. Okay. I'll do that. You said how people can take up other spaces within the music industry, is it? Just to speak on my personal journey with DJ Mag, I never studied journalism in my life. I read books, yes, I listen to audiobooks, I watch podcasts, but I've never studied journalism, and here I am today, a year on, writing for the music that I'm passionate about on the biggest publication across the world. So I would say in terms of where your interest can take you, it's about how much are you invested in your interests. There's a guy called Elijah who is a friend of myself and Seth that we've known for years. Do check out his stuff on YouTube or sadly on Instagram in regards to the information he gives to upcoming DJs, artists and stuff, because he has this very strong tagline that he uses called close the app and do the thing. And I feel like, just to touch on what all the guys have said, when we do take ourselves away from the app, we don't see the numbers, we don't see what cars they've got. Everyone shows the pretty side of things, but they never show how they actually got there or what they invest in to get to that point of showing us that. And I feel like we need to be in a space today, especially where Simon touched on TikTok and attention span. We need to be in a space where we read more and listen more than we do look at things. So I would say in terms of that term, close the app and do the thing, close the app, read publications, watch YouTube videos on interviews, listen to more music, be more invested in what you are passionate about, because it will shape and open a different avenue for you. It doesn't need to just be isolated to the music space. You might be interested in someone in hip hop. You might like Drink Champs by Noriega or something. I don't know. But you could be having skills as a podcaster where you're facilitating a different space for upcoming artists, but also the existing ones, which is what I've learned from my time in DJ Mag. So yeah, that's the advice I would give.
As I said very early on, the music industry, there are multiple ways that you can be involved. So as we mentioned, we employ 50 people at Defected. What do those people do? There is the administrative side of things, which may seem like the most boring, mundane side of the job, but it's really important to function efficiently as a. So there's, accounts, royalties, business affairs, legal, management, events booking, social media, promotions, press, A&R, management. All of these things contribute and dovetail into each other to make the business really efficient. And, you may come into this wanting to be a producer. You may come into this wanting to be a DJ. It may work out for you. God willing, it does. Maybe it doesn't. But then find a path that's going to keep you involved. And you may surprise yourself, actually, what you're really good at. I think most of the people that come into Defected end up doing something slightly different to what they would imagine because they find their way. That applies in life. But the music industry doesn't succeed by there being producers and DJs and everything just happens. It happens because people are vested and they want to be part of an amazing business which connects people globally. If you're good at social media, maybe you get to travel to the world, documenting events, going to the best gigs, interviewing the best artists in the world and whatever. And you can feel really fulfilled by just being involved. So don't pin all your hopes on just this one thing, what we're talking about. Don't be pinned on having a big number and whatever, because you can have a really fulfilled life by just being involved in something that is really, really important to you. A record label is just a label. It's just a logo. Yeah, it's the reason it works is because producers trust us with their music. And we have to shout and amplify the music that we love to an audience. The people that work at Defected, equally important, because they have to fulfill all the things that an artist expects of them. So it's about the artists. It's about the people that work at the company. I believe that the people that work at my company conduct themselves really well. But more importantly, there needs to be an end product. So it needs to be the people on the dance floor. If people don't appreciate what we do, it's meaningless, totally. Nothing happens. So I just wanted you all to know is that you are the future of the dance music industry, and you are more important than you actually think you are. Because if we don't have a future, it will all fall apart. So that is the reason why Defected supports Bridges for Music, because we need to support the future of the dance music industry and the new talent coming through. So, it's like the people on the dance floor are sometimes overlooked, but they're actually the most important people in the whole ecosystem of the dance music industry, because they're the ones that pay for everything.
Wow, with all being that said, guys, thank you guys once again for coming through, and thank you to you guys for your wonderful questions and participation. Thanks once again, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast as much as we do making them. Remember, if you'd like to attend any of these workshops live, enroll in any of our upcoming programs. To support the work we do, you can find more information on bridgesformusic.org. Please don't forget to subscribe, as we'll be bringing new inspiring conversations soon. Until next time, keep safe.